So in this segment, we're going to be discussing Priti Patel getting cooked on immigration and the Tory record, and obviously her record as well, because she was Home Secretary for a while. This is this is so much fun.
But there's also been some downsides since.
Tell me.
Well, let's have a look at the graph.
So downsides to Brexit.
Net migration.
Yeah.
Look at that. That was on your watch. Where exactly on that graph were you the Home Secretary in charge of Britain?
So, well, we should first of all recognise that we ended free movement.
Yeah, you ended free movement for Europeans and you threw the borders open to the rest of the world, and the graph...
We always said that in Brexit, Harry.
No, come on. That is not fair.
So,
you did not say we're going to hit 1.2 million net migrants.
No, we did not say that.
We're going to allow 1.2 million...
Can both and speak. I don't want to take the mic because you might have a stutter, but like... You can pause and take a minute to get your thoughts out.
People into the country.
So let me finish.
In 1 year.
So let me finish. Brightest and the best come into our country. People on skilled work routes and visas.
Is that the brightest and the best?
We've always said, well, look at it's legal migration, Harry. It's legal. People who come here and work and contribute to our economy. Brightest and the best. Look at the points-based immigration system. For the first time ever...
Which is the point. They wanted a points-based immigration system so that the UK can get the people who had the skills that we needed here, right? Which, again, the points-based system we have is incredibly flawed because it valued things like, I think, ballet dancers over things like lorry drivers. But okay, whatever. That's up to the Home Secretary and the Cabinet to decide on. But a point being is they wanted a points-based system. Now they're angry they got a points-based system because it was never about that. It was about lowering the total number.
Harry, let me give you some facts.
Go on.
For the first time ever, we have a points-based immigration system, counting people in and out. You can turn off the immigration system at any stage in terms of what our economy needs and doesn't need. The government should have done more, absolutely, on skills and training Brits.
The government should have done more. It's like you, in this case, should have done a lot more, but instead of deciding to fund things like colleges and actual skills-based stuff, you pushed academics, which is fine. If you're a person who's good at reading and writing and stuff like that, is it good for the economy? No, you need a multi-skilled workforce.
One of those 1.2 million people that flooded into the country in the last 3 years, did they need
no, flooded in. What are they? Like, the framing here again, abysmal.
come here?
So what would you say to the Ukrainians that are in our country?
That's 300,000.
It is now
tops.
300. What would you say to the BNOs? What would you say also to people that came here through
Come on, you're fudging the numbers there.
I'm not fudging the numbers.
She kind of is a little bit. She's trying to make the refugee argument. She's trying to add nuance to a conversation where right-wingers hate nuance.
300,000 Ukrainians on a temporary fix is not 1.2 million people coming to this country to take jobs that you promised were going to go to sun readers and people...
No, I don't think anyone who's got a sun reader could do a lot of those jobs, mate. I'll be honest. And I don't remember the Tory manifesto pledge was, to sun readers specifically, but he's trying to frame it as, I'm on the side of the sun reader. I'm on your side. I want you to get better jobs, etc. When... we had record numbers of vacancies. So either the sun readers are unemployed, or there just aren't enough of them to fill up all these spots. Maybe they need to pick up 2 or 3 jobs to fill up the slots.
Who voted
Those
for
are
Brexit.
skilled visas, Harry. We made it quite clear. These are people that work, skilled visa routes, all the skills in terms of NHS, people that are working in our National Health Service. We had something called a pandemic. You remember health and social care visas
graph?
As well. I'm not fine with it. I haven't said that.
Would you like to apologise to all the people that voted Brexit for the fact that you misled them and saying we're going to take back control of our borders, and then you threw them open and let in millions of people?
That is totally distortionary, and that's not true. And to be quite frank, we made it quite clear it'd be people from the rest of the world, people with skills, based on our economy. And I think people should apologise for those who are saying that actually...
You would like an apology?
People in the pandemic came here, health and social care visas. What would have happened to our NHS? Are we now saying... Are you and others saying we don't need those people in our NHS?
This is crazy, isn't it, how split they are over this stuff. Like, the way... I think she won that argument somehow. I do, because, generally, if it was 2 rational people, that what she said was the right thing to say. But this guy's a moron. He's a complete clown. So she is right to an extent. Like, regarding the we needed people to come in because the government are the ones who set the skill-based system at the end of the day, and the fact that we had record vacancies despite having this skilled system means either there's a really big problem in the UK regarding training, which we know there is, and there isn't enough people to fill up these job roles, which again we know there is as well. You know, you do have people on long-term sick leave and things like that who are waiting for routine care and operations, which again is factually true. So there's so many issues here, but again, I think he came off looking very stupid in an argument he, I think, could have easily won in terms of just talking about things like the classic, things like training, which is a fine argument, but the classic right wing stuff of unemployed people. He never pushed that for some reason. Like, he's very talentless, in my opinion. There's a clip of Zoe Gardner talking about some of this kind of stuff regarding like immigration.
Idea, it sounds great, of a points-based system, and anybody who reaches this amount of points they can get in. It's not actually really how the system works at all. So for a start, you have to be sponsored by an employer. If you're not, you don't get enough points. So it's not really a points-based system, it's an employer sponsorship system. And you talked about the seasonal agricultural workers scheme. Well, previously to Brexit, that was overwhelmingly work undertaken by migrants from the EU who had freedom of movement rights. That meant that they were able to change the farm they worked at if they were being abused by their employer. Under the current seasonal agricultural work,
it's not just being abused by their employer, but also as different fruits and vegetables go into season at different times. Means that they can go from picking blueberries to strawberries and things like that, and that's what helped the flow of it a lot better. Whereas now they're stuck in one farm, and what happens is once the farms are done with them in terms of that harvest, they can't go anywhere. They can't go to a different farm because our system's so dumb. Like, surely you create a visa system where people, if they wanted to come here for seasonal work, you just create a seasonal visa so they can go work in other farms. Like, our system's so stupid, honestly.
Worker scheme, this visa is so restrictive as to produce a systemic risk of exploitation, and there have been multiple cases of reported modern slavery and gangmasters abusing the workers on these farms who are systematically underpaid. So what in fact getting rid of freedom of movement was, you have had to make these exceptional schemes to bring in seasonal workers on an even more restrictive visa here and care workers on an even more restrictive visa there. And each of them have a different set of rights that is more restrictive than the last, and that leaves them open to widespread and systemic workplace exploitation.
And there are also people who make money off this stuff in those countries as well, because they'll charge them a fee to help them find a job here in order so they can move here. Like, it's a really, really exploitative system that is legal. It's a lot like the smuggling that happens with refugees as well, except one is legal and the other one isn't.
It hasn't made things fairer. It's made things a whole lot worse for everybody. Now that applies to Europeans just as equally as it applies to people from the rest of the world. The immigration system is an utter mess. People from across the political spectrum, up and down the country, agree. And that is the legacy that you have left us with.
She's 100% true. She's probably the best, or one of the best in the country at this, and also articulating it as well. The whole, the idea that we should celebrate the end of freedom of movement is a complete fallacy, and the immigration systems we have created since then for people with visas is awful, in some senses, for the people that are ultimately exploited, like people in agriculture, like she said, and people in the care industry, like she said as well. So, this idea we should celebrate it, nonsense. I'm glad they're fighting over this, but there is obviously the serious point of the system we now have is awful, and unfortunately it's up to Labour to fix it. I don't know if they're actually going to bother to do it, but anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.